Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and do celebrity legal news. Also, join me for my pop culture chats. If you'd like to support the channel, please like, comment, and subscribe. My Venmo and Cash App is below. Thank you so much, and let's get started. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Listen, you see the title of this video? I ran across an article about Kevin Feige finally addressing Jonathan Majors' MCU future following his court case. Now, the article that I'm going to be going over is from Collider, and I'm going to share my screen in just one moment. But before I do that, as you all are coming in, please make sure you hit that like button. Again, it helps with my engagement, and I really do appreciate it. Listen. So Kevin Feige has finally addressed this information because we had been trying to figure out, we know Jonathan Majors, and we know that he had his court case. And we know that Marvel gives second chances to whom they want to give second chances to. They have decided to move away from Jonathan Majors, and that is their right to do so. It is his right to go on. I have issues about people saying, well, he needs to go back and re-talk to Marvel. But again, I think it's appropriate at this point to be out almost damn near begging for the job. If they're saying that they have moved on from him, they have moved on from him. But some things, and maybe I didn't read this article right, I do want to go over it. And then kind of talk about it and see what you all are thinking. Because, I'm thinking one way, but that doesn't mean that how I'm thinking is how it's going. So here it is, and this is in Collider. It's written by Britta DeVore, and it was published about 4 hours ago from the time that I'm doing this video. It says Kevin Feige finally addresses Jonathan Majors' MCU future following his court case. Now, I will tell you what I find is interesting because it's been over a year or so, and I thought that they said that they had moved on from him because they had moved on from him. So I'm interested as to what brought this back up again. And it says here, after wiping the floor with Thanos in the box office dominating the 2019 flick, Avengers Endgame, the titular team of Earth's Mightiest Heroes was indeed in need of a new foe. With so many big bads to choose from, thanks to decades and decades of material, the studio certainly wasn't at a loss for villains when they landed on Kang the Conqueror. His first appearance happened as a variant in Disney's Plus hit series Loki. And then his big screen debut was in Ant-Man Wasp: Quantumania. So leading the charge was Jonathan Majors, and they give his resume. At that point, it appeared that Marvel was on track to set up a showdown between Kang and the Avengers, but the studio's plans would all come tumbling down in late 2023 when Majors was convicted of misdemeanor harassment and assault, leading Marvel Studios to cut ties with the actor. However, according to Marvel's head Kevin Feige, the team had long been considering an alternative to Kang. He simply wasn't big enough compared to the world-ending Titan. Now, as I remember Kang, he's a big bad. He's big enough. Again, I will say, coming off the Avengers, I think that everybody was looking for the fact of having this big, huge, monumental villain. And they talked about Kang. Now, this is what's interesting to me, because they were saying, oh, well, we had moved away from Kang way before he had been convicted. Jonathan Majors had been convicted. Okay, so let's continue. They're saying that he simply, he wasn't big enough. He wasn't man enough for me. Boom, boom. Is basically what they're saying. Speaking today with a group of journalists per Hollywood Reporter, the producer teased, all without using Majors' names, that Kang removals had long been in the cards, revealing we had started even before what had happened to the actor happened. We had started to realize that Kang wasn't big enough wasn't Thanos, and that there was only one character that could be that because he was in the comics for decades and decades. Okay. So this is what they say Kevin Feige said. So here's my question to that. If you believed that Doctor Doom was who you wanted to have, or you believe that Doctor Doom was the big villain, you all had the property for Fantastic Four, for X-Men, you had those properties. Why wasn't Doctor Doom the first priority? Because you received all of those rights in 2019. Ant-Man Quantumania didn't come around. You all started after 2019. Y'all were into 2021, 2022 when you all started that production. If Dr. Doom was who you wanted, why did you not go ahead and get everything done for Dr. Doom? Because you all had Kang Dynasty, you had all of those different things in the work. But if Dr. Doom was who you wanted, why was Dr. Doom that who you didn't start with? And just like that hat Kevin Feige wears, I call Cap. They were not looking at Dr. Doom. They were looking at Kang. Now, maybe when, and they were looking for it, maybe when he was arrested, people were sitting down doing the long game. Now, I will say this is just my personal opinion. This is Pam Entertainment TV. Doesn't have anything to do with anybody else. I think that once Jonathan Majors decided to take it to court, I think that they saw the writing on the wall. Possibly, they did their cost benefit analysis and decided to, they decided after he decided to take it to court that they would start it. Because again, they were setting up 2 and 3 movies in behind this particular villain. Which was interesting to me. I don't know why it was necessary to introduce this villain, because you had already introduced this villain in Loki. I didn't see why you were introducing this villain in Ant-Man Quantumania. Because in all honesty, you had a couple of people in that movie that could have been the big bad for that movie. And that they could have, all because they were doing all this fighting back and forth, they could have messed around and allowed for Kang to be released. But let's continue. The character is, of course, Dr. Doom, a role that will bring Robert Downey Jr. back to the fold in a part on the fully opposite spectrum from his Iron Man persona, which again, to me, doesn't make any sense. You brought Robert Downey Jr. back for almost a $500 million, or close to it. I don't know how much it was. I can't remember real quickly. When truly you could have had a whole nother actor that would have cost cheap, but would have been cheaper. Because of the Fox acquisition, we finally had it, and it was Dr. Doom. And then, see, this is where I call Cap, because you had the Fox acquisition in 2019. So why were you not developing a show so that it could be Dr. Doom, so that you could sit back and hire an actor who could be Dr. Doom? I call Cap on this. I just do. But let's continue. So we had started talking about Dr. Doom even before we officially pivoted from Kang. And in fact, I had started talking with Robert Downey Jr. about this audacious idea before Ant-Man 3 ever came out. It was a long plan that we had to take one of our greatest characters and utilize one of our greatest actors. The crew will face off against Doctor Doom when Avengers Doomsday smashes into cinema in December 18th, 2026. Again, I call cap on that because, again, you all had the property and the right to do those characters back in 2019. Kang was on Loki. It wasn't necessary to place him in a movie like Ant-Man in the Quantumania. There was no need to put him in the movie because you, as you were saying, you had thought about this before Ant-Man and them had even started. I just call cap on that. But it's to me, it's a dead story. But I'm just interested as to why it keeps coming up. Because if you've moved away from Mr. Majors, why are we still talking about Mr. Majors? Interesting. All right, people. We do this every week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. What are you thinking about Kevin Feige's explanation? Now, I've heard this type of explanation done before, but this is interesting to me as to why they are now trying to say, oh, we thought about this before Ant-Man. We thought about this when we got. If that was the case, then why did y'all not start that? Why did y'all not start that way? And I'll tell you why. Is because they never thought about that. They made this decision. They were doing cost benefit analysis after he had gotten arrested, and they were trying to pivot at that point. They weren't talking about this while they were doing their. I call cap on all of that, because if they had that idea, if they had that thing, do you not think that they would make that work? Because as he said, Dr. Doom is the big bad. And you acquired the big bad in 2019. Please tell a friend, tell a kin. I'm telling you, this is that stuff that they be pissing on you and calling it rain, child. I call cap on all of this. Please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye-bye.